Oh boy. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to the channel. A brand new movie just dropped on Netflix. It's called Deadly Illusions. We're gonna attempt to talk about it. I need you in the comments down below. What did you think about this film? Is it your favorite movie of all time? All right. A best-selling female novelist suffering from writer's block hires an innocent young woman to watch over her twin children. And yeah, that's the basic premise. So this novelist, she is getting really into her work. She indulges into her new bestseller, but the line between the life that she's writing and the one that she's living becomes blurred. So I read that premise and I saw this concept. I said, this could be interesting. By the way, this is not a Netflix original film. It's just a movie that dropped on Netflix as its release in the United States. So I do want to give Netflix that pass. They have at times lived dangerously in this really cliched, generic territory with some of the original movies that haven't worked at all. So the fact that this isn't a Netflix original, I don't blame them as much as a studio. I'm saying all of this because this movie is really bad. Let's just get that right off the back. If you loved it, I apologize. Today I'm going to give you reasons why I don't think it's a very good film. Nothing against the filmmakers or the actors involved. It's just one that ended up being way more of a miss than a hit. But what went wrong with this film? Is it the convoluted script? Is it the not so great acting at times? Or is it the jumbled mess of a third act that really leaves you wanting something redeeming for this story, but you just don't get anything? But I won't lie. This movie started out on an interesting note, at least. We have our main character who is trying to hire someone to take care of the kids, and she's really struggling, not only with that, but apparently the way that she is treating others around her, and she hasn't made. She's a writer, and we have that confrontation at the beginning that kind of spells out the mentality behind our character. I like the fact that it's an issue that's brought up with the character. Unfortunately, that storyline, that plot point, never necessarily goes anywhere because throughout the rest of the film, we're just diving into this relationship between this new caregiver in Grace and our main character in Mary, also her husband Tom, who doesn't really have much to do here. She comes in, he tells her how much he loves her, he reads off some cliched dialogue, it comes off as semi-awkward, and there are some romantic scenes between the two establishing that they are husband and wife, they love each other, and they have kids. Apparently, even though we don't really see the kids, learn anything about the kids, but she's just kind of off taking care of them the entire time. And when we do get into the legitimate issue toward the end, and I'm going to give minor spoilers in this review. One, who cares? Two, it's hard to talk about this film and my reasoning behind not liking it without hitting on a few of these plot points, but they never really explain or hit on the fact that she is alone with the kids most of the movie. And I understand she's not necessarily out for the kids. She's out for some of the older people, Mary and Tom, but it would have been nice to spend maybe a little time with them. What we focus on, and what actually makes a lot of sense, at least in the first act, is Mary's mindset, getting really into the book she's writing, so into it, like the summary says, the lines between reality and this fabricated reality in her head, they really start to blur. And that is showcased to us through these moments where we're sitting back thinking, did that actually happen? These lust-filled moments between Mary and Grace, between Tom and Mary, between Tom and Grace. It's this crazy lust-filled triangle where she is trying to seduce her. She's also trying to seduce the husband, but there's also something behind the scenes here that is giving her this aggressive mentality. As to the what, we do somewhat get an answer in that third act, but it's so briefly hit on, I'm still, even after that's revealed to us, baffled as to the why of it all. Why does she infiltrate this family? Why is this family her target? What has been her target all along? And question after question after question, on top of the fact that there is so much exposition. I mean, from the opening scene, wow, you're a big-time publisher, aren't you? Really living the big life. Let's just explain exactly who her character is. The on-the-nose dialogue. The entire time throughout the film, they continue to tell Mary, man, this book you're writing is great. You should really lean into the darkness. You should write this character as someone who becomes the villain, as she should be. Leading us to believe that there is inevitably a plot point going to come to pass where we get a reveal for a character. It's very obvious what that is going to be. I appreciate the attempt at trying to swerve us in a different direction. But, oh man, it's just the writing in this film. It is so poor. And then there are just random moments between characters that make no sense. They go to a dinner at one point. What was the point of that scene? There's scenes between Grace and Mary. It's like, I get the seductive nature of what they're trying to go for, but you also have Grace saying, hey, can I feed you some chili? And then she's like, feeding her chili in the kitchen. Mary's also having these dreams where she's seeing things happen. Maybe they're happening, maybe they are not. We're trying to figure out, why can't she figure out what's real and what's not? Okay, we never necessarily get an answer, by the way. But throughout those scenes, on a technical level, they're just like cross-fading through everything. We get a few cuts where we cut to a different shot, but we don't do a lot of that. Just kind of crossfade. The whole movie, full of crossfades. See what I'm doing right now? Crossfade. Next scene. All right. It's awkward. And all of this craziness being talked about, the awkward moments, the exposition, the character turns that make no sense, something was still intriguing me and engaging me. I said, you know what? If they bring it home in the third act, is not going to be in my bottom 2 movies of the year. And then the third act happened. The sound effects, the dialogue, what they do to Grace's voice in that moment that makes no sense if you're trying to keep this in reality. I understand what they're trying to convey there and give us 10 seconds of backstory. Well, you know exactly what's going on here, don't you? No, I do not. Can you please, why are you giving me all this exposition at the beginning and you just not give me anything here? Can you please describe to me what is happening? And it was all just so awkward. It was awkward. I was cringing. I couldn't even, I felt embarrassed watching some of these moments. And again, this isn't like an attack on anybody. I'm sure there was a vision here. It's just the execution. This movie was so poorly executed from top to bottom. The twists and the turns were predictable. And then once we get that inevitable turn, what? I'm sorry. What? It felt satirical. The entire third act felt satirical. It felt like a joke made around the first 2 acts of the movie that, when looking back at the film as a whole, they were easily better than that third act. It was just, I don't know what to think about anything that I just watched. And my wife came in and watched the last 20 minutes, and she was cracking up. She was laughing at me. I'm like, I'm not doing this. You chose to sit down. So again, if you enjoyed this, from an entertainment standpoint, I kind of understand because I was getting a kick out of certain moments, but filled with exposition, predictable character turns, and questionable dialogue, Deadly Illusions is a mess. Hey, if you guys enjoyed this review, before you go, be sure to drop a thumbs up and let me know what other Netflix reviews would you like to see from me. I'm going to go at 10% for my score. That's very low. When a film ends in that way, in such a comically bad way, on top of everything that it had already not given me, unfortunately I have to go super low, but that doesn't mean you have to feel the same way. I just couldn't get behind this movie, but I need to know, what did you all think of this film? Let me know in the comments down below. Appreciate you big time for watching, and I'll see you soon.